on ground, serve with pride, never back down from the fight. Deserts and the city streets, we keep pushing through the night. Battle tested, battle ready, earn respect through blood and sweat. Unapologetic veterans, and we ain't finished yet. Veterans speaking truth, real stories, breaking down the walls, tearing through the lies. This is our time to rise. From the Corps to the Army, we Air Force 2, Coast Guard standing ready, red, white, and blue. No filter on the mic, just the truth we bring. Welcome to the show where the real vets sing. Unapologetic veterans, turn it up loud. We serve, we fought, we see it proud.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Unapologetic Veterans Podcast. I'm your host, Josh. As you can see tonight, I'm alone, unsupervised. There's nobody here. But with all that, we have a great episode planned for y'all tonight. I think everybody's going to be super excited about what and who we have on tonight. Some of you know them, some of you don't. Most of you probably do. It's a great mission. It's a great cause. You know, I'm super happy, super excited, and super grateful that I was also asked to be a part of this. And, I don't know. Do we wait? What do we do? I'm alone. There's nobody here to help me. No, I'm just playing, everybody. We're going to go ahead and jump right into this one. So, as most of you know, my co-host, Stalls, aka the other guy, aka CEO and president of a nonprofit called VB422.
What up?
Oh no!
It feels weird being on the other side of things.
I bet it does, man. I mean, it's wild being up here alone. Just what do I do? What do I do with my hands? I don't know what to do with my hands.
I don't know what to do with my hands. Yeah, it feels very weird, but I actually have two of the co-founders with me as well. I've got Dustin, aka Loose Wire, and my VP / IT guy / do it all, Michael, aka Reaper. And this was the brain trust behind VB422.
What's going on, guys?
What's up?
You look so different on this camera than on the tiny little box on TikTok.
Probably better quality.
Slightly. Yeah. I don't know on Reaper's side. I mean, I don't know. I kind of like him better on TikTok. No, man, I'm glad y'all can make it. We can make this happen. Like I said, I think even though I do not own a motorcycle, and we'll get more into what VB422 is, but I think what you guys are doing and the message that you guys are pushing it's exceptional. It's amazing. I mean, as my time in the service and even now, like where I work, there's motorcycles everywhere. People everywhere ride motorcycles, right? And combining that with what you guys are trying to do, I think it's amazing. And like I said in the intro, I'm super blessed and super proud to be a part of this. Like I think it's an amazing mission. Why don't we do this? So, as everybody knows who Stalls is, he's my co-host. He's the other guy. He's Gray Bush or Beard. Sorry, Gray Beard. My bad, y'all.
Gray Beard. No Gray Bush.
Not yet.
Not yet, anyways.
I mean, if we're gonna keep making movie references, I can go all night long. But why don't we start with Reaper? Why don't you introduce yourself a little bit, kind of tell the people who you are, what you're about, for those of us that may not know who you are.
Well, my name is Mike, aka Reaper, with the club. I've been with the club for 6 years now, going on 6 years. I was in the Marine Corps for 6, from 96 to 2002, and stationed in Lejeune, and went across when I made a lap move, went across to the across the pond to New River Air Station, and was a aviation airframes hydraulics mech for CH-46 helicopters.
Literally
Uh,
across the pond, quite
across the
literally,
pond.
or
Yeah,
river, depending
I
on.
didn't go far. 2 deployments. I caught the very tail end of back in '96, and then of the Firewatch, and and then went to Kosovo. I was in Kosovo for almost 18 months when all that was happening. I was attached to we went over on the LHD-3 USS Kearsarge.
I know all about the Kearsarge.
Yeah, knee knockers and head knockers, right?
Well,
But,
I was on the baton, and the Kearsarge was attached with us when we were deployed.
yeah. Well, it's not good for a guy that's my height, because I was running into everything. I got out in 02, and just kind of piddled around, didn't know like what I was gonna do. Kind of lost my way a little bit. Struggled for a couple of years, and went from there, and found the club. Like I said, 6 years ago. I was missing the brotherhood is what I was missing. Missing the conversations, the talking in acronyms, people understanding what I'm talking about, things of that nature. And so I was like, these guys are pretty cool, and they're all vets too. So let's jump on the bike and ride with them, and so I did. I probated and got my patch, and now I'm a full-fledged member, and
the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Awesome. We'll have to dive into this a little bit later, but you'll have to tell us about Kosovo. I think all we've ever had on here is GWAT vets. So somebody who is not technically a GWAT, I'd be interested in hearing a little bit more about that. A couple questions for you. So when you say club, what club are you a part of?
I'm part of the U.S. Military Vets Motorcycle Club, same as Stalls, same as Loose Wire.
Okay.
We're all in the same club. So, yeah.
Oh, look at that. That.
Yeah.
Representing. That's all right.
That's okay. I'm representing the foundation.
Oh, wait. Hold on. I'm representing the podcast, so it's fine. Stalls Exotic over there, like custom car garage.
Right.
Stalls Exotics parts aren't cheap.
Parts aren't cheap either.
As I've learned, what's that saying you always tell me? HD stands for $100.
Always.
Every day.
You want to hear something really funny? My bike's in the shop right now, and had an accident under 15 miles an hour and $13,000 worth of damage to the bike.
Wow.
Yep.
That's stupid.
Yeah. Welcome to the most expensive hobby you'll ever have in your entire life.
That's a fact.
Yeah, I'm slowly learning that. I thought owning guns was very expensive, but it sounds like motorcycles kind of dwarf that.
Yes, 100%. So,
did you ride motorcycles when you were in or before you got out, or how did you get into riding motorcycles?
So I've been riding motorcycles since I was 7, 8 years old.
Okay.
I used to race motocross when I was a kid. I raced motocross for like 7, 8 years. And then I built a Harley Davidson motorcycle. It was a 1200 Sporty to go out to the Bonneville Salt Flats in the what we call the modified class. And my stepdad and I, went out there in 96 before I went to the Marine Corps, and we set the world land speed record at 218 miles an hour on a double shot of NOS Harley.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Look at you, man. That's I don't know. I think that's actually pretty cool. But hey, that's awesome, man.
They clank, man. They clank.
Oh,
well, I told you I'm not scared of going fast. I'm just scared of the sudden end, stop at the end.
It's the very sudden stop at the end that is the fear for everyone.
It's not the acceleration that gets you, it's the sudden stop.
Right.
Awesome, man. Well, like I said, dude, I'm glad you're here. Pleasure to have you on the show. Loosewire, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. Well, I'm not as exotic as Stalls or Reaper, but no, I'm Dustin. Again, I'm in the same club, U.S. Military Vets MC. I've been in the club 4 years. I actually started riding bikes at El Paso at Fort Bliss, and I bought me a little Suzuki GS 500 was my first bike, and it was just enough to get me from one side of El Paso onto Fort Bliss. Fell in love with it. Didn't know what the hell I was doing when I went through the classes, but fell in love with it. It was a rush. Jumped on I-10 and immediately jumped up to 110, 115 miles an hour and passed the state trooper. And my buddy looks at me, "What the hell are you doing?" Gotta see what it can do. So I rode probably 5-6 years, and then I actually got away from motorcycles for a while. And then my best friend, I was stationed with him at Fort Bragg. I'm Army. Sorry, Marines, but I'm Army. Well, my best friend at Fort Bragg, he is actually in the club as well. And I was living in Colorado. He was living in Arizona, and he kept telling me, hey, this fire department's hiring. So I was like, fire. This ambulance service is hiring. Hey, you need to come here. I was like, bro, you don't convince me. You have to convince my wife. You know her. You need to convince her to uproot her from our house and move to the freaking desert. So we ended up doing that, and spent 4 years there in Arizona. Got into the club, and then met Stalls, met Reaper early on into my club life. And
the worst thing that could have ever happened to you.
No. They took care of me because I was driving truck over the road, and his chapter took care of me when I was broke down for a week over 4th of July. In Atlanta, of all places. But that's what the brotherhood is.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you're a probate or if you're a full patch member. Hey, I'm broke down. I need some help, and there's always going to be somebody there that's going to be there to help you. And just like Stalls and you, Josh, and Reaper, when you go from military life into civilian life, that brotherhood, it disappears.
Yep.
And a lot of times you feel like you're alone. You don't have somebody to talk to. Yeah, you might have a spouse, and there's some things that you can tell your spouse and try to convey onto her how you're feeling, but it's not the same as going to a brother or to somebody who you served with, and this is what I'm feeling. Because a lot of times they've had the same feelings, same thoughts, and that's what it's about.
Yeah. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, and I don't know, I think we touch on this at least 10 times every episode, but that brotherhood, that camaraderie that you get in the military, it's literally the second that you go through those gates. And for most people, you get that DD 214 and you're like, fuck you, you're cool, I'm out. And you're excited to get out for a lot of people, right? There's some that's not so much the case, but the second that you cross that gate and you're on the other side, it's gone. And for some people, it takes days, weeks, months. Some people, it takes years for it to fully click in your head that is gone. But it's typically like in that situation, you broke down in Atlanta, you had them there to help. it takes, for a lot of people, it takes a situation like that to be like, I don't have that brotherhood anymore. I don't have those people I can call around the world at any given time, any hour of the night, for any reason at all. It's, yeah, the, and correct me if I'm wrong, but y'all's club only accepts veterans, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
You
So
gotta, you gotta vote. They give you like a form or whatever. You have to fill it out, and they pull your DD 214 from the Department of Defense. So
okay.
so make sure that you are legit.
There's a lot of unlegit people out there. It's
Exactly. That's why I said legit.
Yeah, there's a few requirements you have to meet to be a part of the club. You have to have served 181 days. You have to have a 750cc or greater motorcycle, and you have to ride. Like, can't tell you how many people are like, yeah, cool, I'll meet you guys on the weekend. See you later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and it's like when you guys were talking about that HD meaning $100. I don't have that issue because I ride an Indian. So it's a penny because 1901 penny Indian, whatever. But I just bought that bike the 20th of May, and I've already put 3,000 miles on it.
That's like Stalls up there. Just bought his motorcycle like 2 weeks ago, and he calls me and he's like, "Dude,
I literally just broke 1,000. I'm at
I
like
just-
1,015.
he's like, I put
I got
500
you,
miles
mate.
on it."
I got y'all beat. I got 60,000 miles at least in the 6 years that I've been in the club. I probably average about 10 grand a year or more.
No, and that's what it's about. There's a lot of people out there saying if you don't put on 20,000 miles, 30,000 miles on your scoot every year, you're not riding.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's
Yeah.
a lot of people out there that do have a life outside of the club, and that and they have jobs. I'm retired. I sit at home all day long. I help raise my grandkids. I love it. But I'm able and I'm afforded that opportunity where if I want to go, I'm going to go to South Dakota next weekend. I could jump on and ride that 1,200 miles to South Dakota and then 1,200 miles back in a weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's not a lot of people that can do that.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't. I couldn't do that if I had it. Now, granted, if I rode a motorcycle every day as my daily driver, sure. Like I've got a company truck that I got brand new with 4 miles on it, and I've had it 7 months now, and it's got 40,000 miles on it. So yeah, if I did that, sure. But if you ask me to ride on my free time, I don't have that much time. No. So
yeah, it takes another level of commitment, because it's easy to say that all we do is get on our motorcycles and ride, but we do a lot more. Like we do benefits, we do fundraising, we do brotherhood shit. I mean, a lot of it is about getting on your motorcycle and riding, but a lot of it also is fellowship and brotherhood and doing things for the community. I mean, key example, what Georgia does a toy drive every year, and like they freaking show out for that toy drive. I mean,
Yeah, we had my chapter is the one that does the toy run, and I think we had close to like 300 something bikes last year.
yeah, it was
Wow.
huge.
That's pretty massive. So I do want to touch on that because it'll kind of lead into what I was going to ask. But before we get to that, so VB422, what is that? Whoever wants to answer that can.
So VB422 really just started off as a benefit ride. Like what I was on TikTok one day in my garage, and I was like, bro, I want to do a 2,200 mile ride, and I want that ride to raise money for veteran suicide awareness and mental health awareness. And all of a sudden it was like I don't know, it just snowballed into this huge thing because I'm talking to Reaper, I'm talking to Loose Wire, I'm talking to another one of our brothers, Amrock, who's a huge creator on TikTok, and I talked to Scrappy, who also is another creator on TikTok, and I'm like, man, dude, I want to do this ride. What do you guys think? You guys think it would be successful? Like, you think we can pull it off? And they were like, yeah. And then, like, I was talking to Reaper, and I was like, dude, fuck just doing the ride, dude. We need to create an organization. And so what? We spent a whole day, Saturday, one day. Like,
Yeah, it was all day.
we paid for the website. We started designing the website, and then for like 2 or 3 weeks straight, like, we just kept just going and going and going, and it just evolved into this huge thing. And Loose Wire, I asked Loose Wire to be a part of it because, I mean, you guys can tell just by sitting here and talking to him, and this guy's genuine. He cares. Like, motorcycles are his life. So, it's something that I think for all of us is something that's near and dear to us, because being in a motorcycle club, we're used to losing brothers to various things. Some brothers get old, some brothers have accidents, and then we also have some of those brothers who have decided that they couldn't do it anymore. And for me, it was, I lost 6 guys that I served with in the last year to suicide. And I was just fucking fed up with it, man. It's just like, man, it's another guy who, I mean, I'm talking about guys who you would have never thought ever that they would take their own life. And I just got tired of hearing about it. And really and truthfully, I think I talk about this person a lot because she really does mean a lot to me. But Samantha Bassett was telling her story one day in Vet Nation's live, and I was sitting there listening, and she's telling the story about how her husband, decided to take his life. And I was just like, fuck, man. And then I talked to her personally one-on-one, and she's telling me all these things and how her life was changed completely by a decision that one person made, and how that decision affects families, not just hers, but other families as well.
Well, and it's not only that, Stalls, and I don't mean to cut in on you, but
No, you're good.
It's a permanent solution for a temporary problem.
100%.
And that's where it is. When a person goes through that part of their life and they are to the point of no return, they don't realize they're thinking about themselves in that point. They don't understand that they have ways, or they have people that they can reach out to. I've had to call the VA helpline. I have. And it's not a big deal. That's what it's there for. But it doesn't just affect them. It doesn't just affect their spouse or their kids. It affects their mom, their dad, their brothers, their sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, friends from elementary school. People that they grew up with. The effect that becoming that statistic really snowballs a long way down the line.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, something is telling me that this can't just be a ride, right? That's how this all started. And I contributed a lot of it to the conversations I had with Reaper, conversations I had with Loose Wire, and then the conversation I had with Samantha Bassett. That was the final nail in the coffin for me. I was like, no, this can't just be a one and done thing. This has to be a continuous thing. So, we came up with the name of the organization, Veteran Bikers for 22 a Day. Even though we know that 22 a day is not the real number, like, we know that number is way larger. I mean, I think we dived in it on an episode once. But it's the number associated with veteran suicide. So it's the number we chose for our organization. And we shortened it up a lot. We shortened it up a lot because VB422 is just catchy as fuck. I don't care who you are. But that's how it started. I mean, it literally started in my garage, which, I mean, it sounds like Apple all over again, but we were all on TikTok. We were talking and it just snowballed into this magical thing. I mean, it really has. And it's something that our club has taken a hold of too. And I mean, our club, which rarely puts their name on anything, put their name on this organization, and that says a lot about what our mission is.
Absolutely. So in your garage, and after some conversations, you came up with VB422. So then you turned it into a nonprofit, and for those of you wondering out there, he is a legitimate nonprofit. I have the paperwork. I've seen it with my eyes. I've seen it. It's real. So we've got the nonprofit, you've got the organization. Tell me a little bit about the ride. So it's 7 states, right? Yeah.
So 6 days, 7 states. It's going to be over 2,200 miles. That's our big event for 2026. And it starts on November 6th. It goes through November 11th. And I mean, all along the way, we're going to be making stops. So we're going to be stopping in Greenville, South Carolina on the first day, Louisville, Kentucky on the second day. Then it's going to go to South Haven, Mississippi, which is just south of Memphis. But still in the greater Memphis area. And then from South Haven, Mobile to Atlanta, and then Atlanta to, right now it's looking like Tallahassee because I cannot get back in touch with the venue in Savannah. So, but Tallahassee, Florida. I mean, so it's going to start in Florida, end in Florida, which is really cool. And every stop has its own unique event. And the cool thing about that is it started off as like this ride where we were just going to stop and try to talk to veterans and, have a good time. But now it's like Greenville, South Carolina, and Louisville, Kentucky. Both of those nights that we stopped there, both of the Harley Davidsons there said, hey, you bring your organization, bring your riders, bring your event. We're going to host a bike night. We're going to invite all of the veterans MCs and veterans from the local area and, the Combat Vets Motorcycle Association and the, all these other MCs and organizations that ride motorcycles. We're going to invite them out to a bike night, and we're going to provide the food. We're going to provide the drinks. We're going to provide the live music. You guys just show up. So no cost to us. And both locations said that. And I was like, man, that's awesome. And then I think it was a conversation that Reaper and I and some of the others had where it was like, okay, let's bring out some of the organizations in these communities and get these organizations that are these grassroots organizations. And I know you've heard me talk about this 100 times, but let's get these grassroots organizations to meet the veterans in their community so that these veterans can put an eye on the people who are right there directly in their community who can help them with whatever it is, home repair, mental health awareness, like whatever they may need, whatever that organization offers. So then that snowballed into a whole nother thing. So it's like every one of these stops is going to be this like community get together, and
it's going to be a week-long Veterans Day celebration.
Sounds like a fun party.
That ends on my birthday.
Yeah, it ends on his birthday. So, it's just going to be a lot of fun, man. And I encourage anybody who rides a motorcycle. I encourage anybody who supports veterans. I really stress to everybody who can be a part of this to change one veteran's life or one veteran family's life to just join up. I mean, you don't have to ride a motorcycle. You can drive your car the 2,200 miles if you want to. I don't give a shit. I'll still charge you the $50 entry fee, but shit, you can drive your car. It's not going to bother me, right? Like we just want.
We're gonna have
we
a bunch
want
of Jeeps too, right?
Right, yeah. So Jeeper, everybody knows Jeeper on TikTok. She's gonna bring the Jeep communities out. They're gonna be trail vehicles. They're gonna have trailers. They're gonna, bike breaks down. We're gonna have somebody. So there's a lot of organizations that are getting on board with this, and so it's not just a bike event, even though that's what it started off as, and that's what we do. But we want everybody to be involved. Because I want to be able to put a sign in everybody's window or on everybody's bike or a flag flying from somebody's truck, that says VB422, end veteran suicide. And just put it out there, man. Just put it out there for the whole world to see. But it's going to be a huge event.
Sounds like a long ass convoy.
It could be. It could. Hey, you never know. Hey, if it's a 300 bike convoy, now that's the other joy about it is you don't have to ride all 2,200 miles. If you want to do 100 miles with us, you can do 100 miles with it. If you want to do 50 miles with us, do 50 miles with us. I don't give a shit. Honestly,
I can say right now, I've already brought it up to my chapter, and I told him, I said, look, next November we're going to Florida as a chapter, and we are riding this.
Hell yeah.
So
I've got guys from my chapter who are going to ride the whole thing because shit, they love to ride. And I know guys from other chapters are doing it too. So
yeah, when it's all said and done, the guys from my chapter, we're going to put 5,000 miles on that bike in like 2 weeks because we're in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. We got our iron butts, we got our saddlemans, like this is a walk in the park, Kaczynski. Let's
Yeah.
go.
How many? I know, Stalls. You and I have talked about this 100 times, but what is your estimated, your best guess of how many people you think are going to ride start to finish?
If I had to put a number on it, it'd be hard to say because it depends on how many brothers get involved with it. Like. And not only that, it depends on how many like true riders get involved with it because you've got some people who this might be their very first 6-day ride. Right. But really and truthfully, if you break it down, it's 6 days, 2,200 plus miles. It comes out to like 480 miles a day. So it's really not that bad. 400 miles, that's a normal turn and burn.
So what you're telling me is you're going to have 4 hours of riding every day because, y'all can't keep it under 100.
Nah,
it's looking more like 6 hours of riding. 6 hours of riding.
Secrets.
Really and truthfully, I mean, if you think about it, we will do the speed limit ish, probably 5 to 10 miles an hour over. For those people who are comfortable with doing that. If you're not comfortable with doing that, we'll have a slower group. If we have that many bikes. So I mean it's not really that bad. Most motorcyclists, if you ride and you get out there and ride, you're comfortable at 80 miles an hour.
So we're gonna have an A group and a B group. So kind of like doing
a and a B group, yeah.
PT runs.
You're gonna have the
400 miles.
The kids.
Yeah, 400 miles. I mean, you're talking about three gas fill ups by the time it's all said and done, because some bikes will get 200 miles to a tank, some bikes will get 180 miles to a tank. It just depends on what you're running. Plus, it depends on if you're, if you got a souped up engine, if your engine's not souped up. So, I mean, it really depends on what you're running, but you're probably looking about 6.5, 7 hours of riding every day. So,
well, in case unless somebody rides a Sportster, then we're going to be stopping every 100 miles.
Yeah, Sportsters are encouraged to ride, but if we have a bunch of you, you're all going to be riding together.
No, they'll just have to be back in the back by a trail vehicle, and we'll just have like
jerry cans,
gas cans back there, and they could just
like a hot fuel doing 70 miles an hour down the highway. Just
Yeah, we're gonna do
instead of-
tactical refueling.
Hey,
Hey, I've been
the
watching a
chapter
lot
calls
of it
me-
here. These refuelers fly all day long, every day here from the Air Force Base. I'm kind of getting the science down pat, so
We'll figure it out.
we'll figure
A
it out.
chapter calls me the in-flight refueler because I got a 6.6 gallon gas tank on my bike. So I just take a hose and siphon it out, stick it over while we're riding down the road.
that would be pretty wild to see, just driving down the highway going somewhere and like, huh, okay.
Just see me
Motorcycle ride.
pumping like this.
Yeah.
Well,
But yeah, so it is a lot of riding. It's a lot of riding, but
That-
it's for a good cause.
that's amazing. Like the the symbolic reason for 22, and then you're doing 2,200-ish miles. That's a lot, but it's all symbolic, right? It's all for a purpose, and I think what sets what you guys are doing apart from other organizations is there's some people who they sit up on a screen on a podcast, on TikTok, whatever, and they sit and say, "Hey, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this." But a lot of what they're doing is just talking and bringing the awareness. You guys are literally 7 days or 6 days, 7 states, 7 days, 8 days, 9 days, if you're riding all the way from Oklahoma. You guys are physically doing something. You're not just sitting behind a desk saying, "Hey, this is what we're going to do." You're saying you're going to do it. Then you're getting on a motorcycle and riding, for the lack of a better way to say it, nonstop for 7 days. And like that's to me, for somebody who doesn't ride a motorcycle, like that to me seems insane, right? Sean in the comments says my ass hurts thinking about it, right? But like, I've driven from North Carolina, specifically Campbell's Union, North Carolina, to 29 Palms, California, and that's 2,300-ish miles on I-40, give or take. And I did that in 4 days in a car, and I was done. And I stopped and slept overnight. Like, I was done. So I couldn't imagine. Now, granted, it's a car; it's a little bit different, but I couldn't imagine, 6 days of just, all right, But
Well, what makes it easy, Josh, is we're breaking it down into more palatable, stints of time, right? So it's not like, like I a couple of years ago, not last year, but the year before that, I rode from here in Atlanta to by way of going straight across on 20 and then going up through Oklahoma and all that, going up to Sturgis, South Dakota. It was 1,500 miles and we did it in under 34 hours.
I'm not even going to do the math on that because it sounds highly illegal. But you brought up a good point. So what is the longest ride that you guys have done to date? Like individually?
I think my longest ride to date is going to be from where I live right now in Florida, up to Samantha's event in Montgomery, and then turned to Brown and rode all the way back home. Like I literally did 1,400 miles in little over 36 hours. So that's my longest ride.
And
not to mention, I slept for 4 hours at a sleazy motel.
You got a cat nap. It's fine.
Yeah, in Dothan, Alabama. But it was not only riding up there, but I also did a poker run and then rode home on a Dyna. Okay. For those who've never ridden on a Dyna, I might as well have been riding on a rigid frame motorcycle. It was terrible. My ass, my arms, my shoulders, my knees, everything hurt.
He's still recovering, folks.
I am.
Well, I to kind of explain what he's talking about is, rigid frames don't have shocks. It's just the tire. That's all the shock absorber you get from the road. Just
Nope.
the tire. So
No.
Yeah.
I think my longest ride to date, when I was living out in Arizona, my wife and I. So our other chapter here in Oklahoma, they work for the Silent Warrior Foundation here in Oklahoma, and they put on a No More 22 ride every year. And being out in Arizona, that was my one. That's my out of state ride. That's my big ride that I'm gonna do every year, regardless. So 2 years ago, the wife and I decided, oh, you know what? Let's jump on the bike and let's go. We did 2,500 miles in 5 days.
So you've done what's about to happen at least once.
Yes, and I've got one. I have 2 iron butts. That's 1,000 miles in 24 hours. But I never turn in the paperwork because I don't need a patch showing that I can do 1,000 miles in 24 hours. My ass kind of already knows that I can do that.
Your ass remembers. Your ass always
My ass
remembers.
But I've done 2 of
looks
those.
like a Leatherman.
Coming from Arizona where I was at, coming here to Oklahoma, it's 1,000 miles doorstep to doorstep. And I think I did it in 13 hours the last time I did it. That's stop, go to the bathroom, get you something to drink, smoke a cigarette, get a bite to eat, get on the bike and go.
Mm-hmm.
And this ride it's not going to be that stringent, right at your pace. Nobody can ride at the pace that we're accustomed to. Well, I mean, other MCs and these other guys that do get out and ride their bike, but the general public, the everyday riders, they can't ride at the pace that we can ride.
I got you.
We ride bar to bar, 85, 90 miles an hour, and it's all about trusting that person next to us. So we're comfortable doing that. I've never rode next to Reaper or Stalls, but I can almost guarantee that we get on the road and we start riding, everything just clicks because we know what we're doing. And we know that our brother next to us or who we're riding next to us, if we've known them for a long time, brother or not, they know how to ride. So, the only thing I can ask is when people join in on this ride, whether they ride 100 miles or 500 miles or the full 2,200 miles, but ride at your own pace.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Be safe about it.
Safety first. Yep.
You know what your limitations are.
Safety third.
Yeah. Well,
That's an inside joke. Josh always says safety third, so I had to add it in there.
There's a lot of meaning behind that safety third, guys. Just remember. No, man, that's amazing, right? Coming from somebody who doesn't ride motorcycles, like I personally couldn't envision driving 1,000 miles in the one day, let alone riding. So like to me, that's pretty fucking awesome. So Stahl, you touched on something that y'all did not too long ago, but you took a ride to Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I remember correctly, this is the first, I guess you could say, event that VB422 helped with, right?
Yeah.
Can you kind of dive into that a little bit on what exactly y'all did?
Yeah, so Samantha Bassett, which I talked about her earlier, she did a poker run benefit to remember her husband, Mitchell Bassett. And she asked if VB422 would be involved with it. And I told her absolutely. Like, there's no question, like 100%. And so because VB422's name was on the flyer, and we were helping her out because we had a way to set up a payment link for people who wanted to pay either with credit card or through Venmo or Cash App, but maybe that's not the most secure way to do it. We set up payment links where people could go on and put their banking information in and know that it was 100% secure. And then, I gave her some advice along the way, along with Scrappy gave her some advice along the way. She talked about it. She asked questions. And, so I made the trip up there, and honestly, I can tell you right now, there's probably no person who has never been involved with motorcycles, especially putting on a motorcycle event, that could have done what she did. I mean, she raised almost $13,000 on her first event.
That's amazing.
And
Unheard of.
yeah, it absolutely unheard of. And that Juice Juice is actually my little brother, blood brother, but also a member of our club. What's up, little bro? But but yeah, so she did, she did the unthinkable. I mean, almost $13,000 after everything was said and done. And she was going to split the gains from this 25-75. And me being the person I am, I was just like, you know what? No. VB422, we raise, part of our mission is raising money for families who've been affected by veteran suicide. And so I told her at the event in front of everybody that any portion that was going to go to VB422 was going directly back to her. And and that's what we did. I mean, $3,700 is what would have gone to VB422. And to be honest with you, we were doing good. We had just gotten a donation from somebody. A very, very good friend of mine had donated some money to the organization, and we really didn't need the money, because it's not about the money. It's about helping those people that need help. It's about helping the families that are affected, because I'm going to tell you right now, if you guys knew half of the financial trouble that she was in before this event, you would have asked her, how do you keep going? Because
Exactly.
she worked like 4 jobs, 5 jobs at a time. And here she is, like, getting in lives and talking and joking around. I mean, she was in some of our late night lives, just chilling,
Falling asleep.
Yeah. And she had the strength to keep going. And it's amazing, because if I was under the amount of pressure that she was under, I don't know that I could have kept going.
Normal person would have folded.
Absolutely.
Right. And she is far from normal. I mean, Samantha Bassett, she is a wonderful, hardworking, driven woman. And what she put on for her husband, and mind you, she started thinking about doing this in February and pulled it off in March. So she raised $13,000 in a month. Imagine what that girl could do if she started her own organization.
Absolutely.
Which I'm highly encouraging, Samantha Bassett, if you're watching.
That's amazing. What y'all did for her, that is remarkable. But like you said, that's part of the mission. So I'm going to kind of jump ahead here. So your event in November, Veterans Week, as we're calling it, of 2026, ends as we'll see, TBD technically, but it's looking more and more like it's going to be Tallahassee, Florida. Super pumped, by the way. Not a fan of Tallahassee, but it'll do. We're gonna have a concert, right?
Absolutely.
To end
That's my boss, by the way.
So we should say all the bad things about you.
He's a Marine, so I mean, he's your person.
Oh well, shit. Then you're outnumbered now.
I am outnumbered.
But so tell us about the event that's going to conclude this ride.
So that's another thing that just kind of snowballed with the organization.
I'm noticing a trend here, fellas. There's a lot of snowballs.
A lot of snowballs. No, but what happened is, so I'm on a TikTok one night.
Beard's white.
Right, exactly. It's why my beard is white. Actually, it's all friction. I'll tell you guys about that later.
Yeah, 6 months ago, it matched his shirt. Just like 6 months ago, it matched his shirt.
That's probably true, honestly. But no, I was on a live one night, and J1776. If you guys don't know Jay is a freaking awesome dude.
The man with a mustache.
The man with a mustache. I'm talking. It's a manly mustache too. But he runs. He's the president of
IGY6.
IGY6 Veteran Benefit. Thank you. I had a freaking brain fart. And he was like, dude, I put on a benefit concert every year. Let 2026, let the end of your event be my benefit concert. And we'll split the proceeds 50-50. And I was like, hell yeah, dude. He goes, but you're going to have to put in the work. I was like, easy.
What is work?
What is work? So literally, and again, this is just like luck. Like, I'm not even going to say it's skill, because it's not. Everything has been luck, or it's been the good Lord blessing us 100%. And he's given me free reign to contact people. So I contacted a couple of artists. We've got Andrew Jameson, which is a former Army medic. He's also a newly Nashville recording artist. So if you guys don't know him, go check him out. He is awesome. He's going to be dropping a new song here shortly, or he better. And then we have Aaron Ray Vaughn, who's also an Army, former Army artist. And then I reached out to somebody help me real quick.
Craig Morgan,
thank you. I reached out to Craig Morgan's booking agent. I was like, hey, is Craig Morgan available on this day? And immediately, Lance Roberts is his name. Lance hit me back. He goes, yeah, he's available. I was like, awesome. Do you have a chance to speak? And then I noticed that his number was in the email in his signature line. So I said, screw this. What up, Lance? Like, not even going to take a minute and just let you blow off my email. I'm about to call your ass. So I called him, left him a voicemail. He called me back that evening. He goes, look, I want you to know it's not going to be cheap to get Craig. And I was like, I'm not worried about that. I said, is he available? If he's available, I want him. For this event, I want him for this event. It's perfect. It's veteran. It's an all veteran lineup. So right now, as long as nothing changes, we have a venue. We have Craig Morgan. We have 2 other veteran artists. And if everything goes to plan, we are going to be able to change so many lives. And that's all that matters. I don't want to keep a single dime from any of this for my organization. I will deplete my entire organization's bank account, minus what we need for our website.
You don't need that.
Which I don't really even need that. I will deplete everything if it means that I can keep one of my brothers or one of my sisters from saying enough is enough. I'd rather than pick up that phone and go, hey, Stalls, I need help. Hey, Stalls, my sister's husband just took his life. They're, the funeral is going to cost them $6,000 out of pocket from whatever the VA won't cover, and they don't have the money. He was the breadwinner. They're living paycheck to paycheck.
Well, and not only that, though, also a lot of people don't realize what it costs for counseling. You know, the average cost is something like $100 per hour just to
Yeah.
speak to a mental health counselor to get that help or to try to figure out what's going on. You know,
Yeah. My
this money could
therapist is
go to that.
$100 an hour.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
money could go to pay if we raise $3,000, you know, that's 30 hours that,
Yep.
you know, a family member, a veteran, somebody can use to help with the grief process or help with understanding why they're thinking the way they're thinking, feeling the way they're feeling.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So, we have this concert, and part of the donations that y'all receive, outside of what the cost and all that of the concert is, the other part of it is going to um, families that have directly been affected by the epidemic that is veteran suicide. Correct?
Green Star
Like,
Widows.
yeah, green. There it is, Green Star Widows. So, for those of you out there that are listening, the donations that you give to this organization are going directly back to the people affected by this. As you can see, the first unofficial event or official event, whatever way you want to spin it, when this, when you guys were fresh out of a garage, if you will,
In our infancy.
or infancy, whatever you want to say, directly went right back to help somebody, and it's amazing what you guys are doing. The selflessness that you guys are showing. Like, look, it's not about me. It's not about the money. I'll go dead broke doing all this, but I'm here for y'all. Prime example. We were in a live, what, a month ago maybe,
Hmm.
and a woman had came in there. Her and her husband got into some financial issues. Were basically living out of a hotel, and the long and the short of it is he or is in this live. We, within a matter of minutes, had people there to help, and that night they got help immediately. So
Yeah.
this is direct impact immediately. It's not like, oh, I've got $1,000. Let me wait till I got $6,000. No, you need some
Yeah.
counseling. Here you go. You need help with a funeral. Boom. Here you go. Like,
So this
Yeah.
kind of goes back.
We stopped everything in that live that night. Everybody got quiet. And immediately I reached out and texted Jay. I was like, Jay, I need you in my live now. Hey, Shamika from Transcend 214, I need you in my live right now. I can't remember her name from Veteran Aid Network, but hey, I need you in the live right now. And we got all those people in that live, and within minutes they had $100 Walmart gift card so they could get gas and food.
mhm.
And that's what it's about.
This brings me to one of my favorite sayings, and Josh, you kind of hit on it a little bit earlier. You said, these guys are doing what they say they're doing. Actions speak louder than words.
100%.
And I see a lot of people that talk a good game, but I don't see a lot of people that actually do a good game. So, and there's some great organizations out there. I'm not gonna throw shade on anybody's organization whatsoever, but I'm just saying, like, when Stalls and I and Loose Wire, a couple other brothers got together about this, it was like, we're going to do this, and like Stalls told you earlier, he's lost 6 brothers, in the year. I've lost 22 over, and I wear a bracelet with skulls on it. These are all the brothers that I've lost. I wear one skull for each of the brothers that I've lost that I've personally known. And I unfortunately have to break this bracelet and add a 23rd to it because I just lost another one. and it was one of my high school best friends. So he was an Army vet, but it's a serious thing.
Yeah. No,
And a
it's
lot of people don't realize how serious it is, and they're like, "Oh, I've heard some really, really unfortunate. I'm gonna use the word unfortunate because I'm gonna be nice. I've heard some real unfortunate comments of people saying, "Well, it's their fault. They signed up for it." And it's like, if you really knew what that comment, you know, how that comment just flies over me.
oh yeah.
If we were in a private setting, I guarantee you would never say that again.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But
There's another saying that goes along with that. Every veteran out there, we took the burden so they didn't have to.
oh yeah, I hate that one too. But
Yeah,
I hate
it's
that one just because it's like, no, we took the burden because we wanted to, because we wanted to make sure that, this great nation stands as it stands, now and forever. But, a good one that I've always heard is, we've written a blank check up into our lives. And I would do that blank check every day if it meant that, people could, live their lives and talk their talk and have their freedoms.
yeah.
But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. But
No, but you're not wrong, right? Like, unfortunately, there are people out there that feel that way. There's a special place for those people. I can assure you of that. But for those, yeah, 100%. But what you guys are doing is helping combat not only the epidemic within our community, but also this. It's not really a stigma, but like, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. More of like a lack of knowledge in the community or in the civilian community of what this truly is.
right.
Like,
Yeah, we're educating them.
Yeah. There's a lot of education that's going to happen. I mean, imagine if, and I'm sure it's bound to happen, you guys are rolling down the highway and there's, a couple hundred of you. Somebody's going to hop on Facebook. Somebody's going to post it on TikTok. Who are these guys? What are they doing? And then you get all the Jeeps behind them. Obviously, it's organized. And then the news picks it up. And then it's all over social media. Now you just educated millions of people. You know what I mean? Like, the potential to influence millions of people is there. And at the end of the day, that is more important than, us just sitting here talking about it, right? You guys are physically doing the thing, spreading the message by actively doing something. And, I couldn't be more proud of what you guys are doing. Like I said, I'm blessed to be here and to help out. And like, in the process of, creating this ride in November of next year, you've also created another event in early next year. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so if you live in or around the Leesburg area in Florida, February 21st of 2026 at Gator Harley Davidson, right there in the middle of Leesburg. I've teamed up our organization and Nautical Salute. We're going to be doing a poker run. It is going to go to help benefit both organizations. Nautical Salute, Sarge, Sean Hibbard. For those of you guys who know him, he is an awesome guy. His mission is the same as our mission. He just does it a little differently. He takes veterans out on the water and takes them fishing and gives them a space, A, alcohol free, and B, where they can be around other veterans and talk about whatever they want to talk about. he gives them a space and a place, and that's what's important. And his mission is awesome. I can't wait to have him on the podcast to talk about it. But I just felt like, our mission and his mission go hand in hand with what we do. And it just made sense to team up with him. Very, very organized guy. Take the bull by the horns type of person. And so for me, it was an easy decision to link up with him. So we're doing a poker run. All the proceeds are going to go to help veterans again. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Live music, good barbecue. We've incorporated a bunch of really cool stuff with this. We're going to have the miniature wall out there at Gator Harley Davidson. So if you guys have never seen the Vietnam Veteran Memorial Wall, you'll get to see a miniature version of it right in Leesburg, Florida. So it's going to be really cool. I've got the flyer out there. I'll be posting the flyer here soon. So just stay tuned.
Awesome, dude. I can't wait.
I can't wait either.
Like, I'm not a Florida fan, but it's going to be a pretty great time.
Look, February in Florida is like Connecticut in the summertime. Okay.
It's also like 0 degrees in Tennessee during that time. So
yeah, so just bring your ass to Florida. It'll be all right.
I may have to, man. I don't know.
Hey, by the way, you went over an hour.
Don't remind me. I know
it was your fault.
It is, but I think the more we got into this, I think things need to be said, and people need to, hear what you guys are doing. Unfortunately, like it always happens, we get into a topic that's super important, and I want to make sure people fully understand what not only what is happening, but what we're trying to do to prevent it, to help mitigate that. With that, as you can see here on the screen here, that is the link for the website you can go to. Conveniently, Reaper is the only one wearing branded merch, but you can get some merch there if you want to support that way. You can also make donations directly to the cause there. If I remember correctly,
if you own a business, you can be a sponsor. There's several different ways you guys can give, and really and truthfully, it's not about the money, but in order to do great things, you have to have money.
It's kind of about the money for that, yeah.
But no, there's different ways you guys can give. So we have merch. As a matter of fact, Lita, who runs Unhinged Empowerment, she did another wonderful job updating the merch shop. We have everything from silkies for you Ranger guys or you Marine guys.
I'm wearing them right now.
Silkies. There's silkies on there you can get with our logo on them. There's tank tops for the women. There's tank tops for the men. There's even a basketball jersey type tank top for us bikers. It's moisture wicking, by the way, so we can wear it up underneath our cut. But there's hoodies, there's flags, there's cups, there's a whole bunch of other things. But also, because we support the Green Star families, we have our own Green Star collection as well. So any purchase of any of that merch, whatever the proceeds are, goes back to VB422. It's on our website. If you go to VB422.com, you'll see our logo. You'll see the donate button. You'll see at the top, it'll say home, and it'll say sponsors and merch and all this other stuff. If you want to donate. That's awesome. All your donations go directly to helping veterans. No amount is too small. No amount is too big. Every dollar counts. Every dollar is a step closer to changing the life of one veteran, and that's where it starts. So,
I want to say one thing on that while you're plugging the site there, Stalls. If you want to ride in the ride and be a part of the ride, go to the go to the website under events. There's a little caret. You drop down. It says ride registration form. You just fill out the registration form with your information for the ride. And like Stahl said, you don't have to do the whole 2,200 miles. You can do whatever you're capable of doing and or have the time to do or you want to do, right? So if you can only go from 100 miles, 300 miles, 200 miles, whatever, or just ride for the day and do a turn and burn and come back home, because you got to go to work the next day, that's cool. We love the support. That's the support is the biggest thing for us. That's where we get our satisfaction out of it, is seeing everybody support us. But yeah, like Saul said, obviously, in order to do great things, unfortunate catch-22 of the life of running a nonprofit is we have to raise money to be able to help and support these people that are in need.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, hey, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you guys on and listen to what you guys are doing and your experiences with that and the things that are coming. I am super fucking pumped, right? I cannot wait. I don't want to time travel because I don't want to miss all the shit from here to there, but I can't wait. One of the things that Stalls and I have talked about in the past regarding this. So for those of you that do ride from point A all the way to point Z or whatever, after all the stops, there will be a challenge coin that I'm making that will signify that you completed the entire ride. We're still working on an idea for possibly those that are just doing a segment, because I think that's also important. But as of right now, for those of you that complete the entire 2,200 miles, there will be a challenge coin. Now it'll take some time after the ride's over to get them made and do that, because I won't know how many riders will have completed the whole thing until the very end. But that is something that we're working on, and I cannot wait.
I got an idea on that for you, Josh. I'll tell you after this.
I appreciate it.
One thing that I think we all talked about was also anybody who does the ride from point A to point Z, VB422 is going to pay your admission to the benefit concert. So if you ride the entire ride, you're going to get to go to the benefit concert as a consolation prize, which I think is going to be freaking awesome. So
it's going to be amazing. Well, all right. So we'll start with you, Loose Wire. Do you have anything that you wish to leave the people with? Any parting words? Any words of advice, encouragement, hate and discontent, whatever it is?
I think the biggest thing that I want to see out of this whole thing is just the general public getting an understanding of PTSD, what we have seen, and kind of understanding the reason why we do things the way we do things. I had a lightning strike hit the ground today, and my dad and I, it scared the bejesus out of me. Well, what does incoming mortar fire sound like? The hairs on the back of my neck raised up, and my dad's 80 years old, and I said, later, and I left him, and he can't walk. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is, So,
I'll
just
back to get you later.
Just understanding what we go through, our mentality set is on our everyday life when it comes to some of the stuff that we've been through. That's what I want to see out of this. And it's hard for a lot of us to actually talk about what we've been through.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is, I still struggle with talking about it. You know what I mean? Like it's been a long time, and I've been with my wife for almost 10 years. So it's tough, but man, I appreciate you coming on, sharing everything. Like we'll have to do a couple more of these, probably within the next 6 months, do another one we'll update everybody. We'll get you guys all back on and kind of go over everything and updates and who knows? Maybe we'll have another ride. Maybe one in Oklahoma, maybe one in Nashville. Who knows? Right?
There's talk about something in Oklahoma. Just
I
saying.
know.
There's some talks, not to give away trade secrets.
No secrets here, everybody. Loose Wire, I appreciate it, man. I'm gonna drop you down. You can hang out in the green room. Well, never mind.
Gone. Don't have to tell him twice.
Well, Reefer, what about you, man? You got anything you want to let the people know?
I kind of want to piggyback off of what like Loose Wire said. Like PTSD, mental health issues, they're a real thing. A lot of people go through them. I go through my own. I just want to say that we're not broken. We're just different, right? We're not broken. We're just different, and we deal with things a little differently because of that difference. So, we're not bad people. We just been through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so, we're programmed differently.
That's right.
That's what I like to tell people, that we're not broken. We're not damaged goods. We're just programmed differently. A lot of us joined the military at 18. It's no secret that for most men specifically, that we're not mature until we're in our 20s. We're not fully developed until we're in our 20s. And you take a kid, because, yeah, sure, we're technically an adult, but hell, you can't do shit.
The average is 18, 19 years old going into the military.
Yeah, but at 18, when I joined, you could drink at 18 on military base, even then, right? I could buy guns at 18. Now, you got to be 21 for everything. So, everybody, I've heard it said before, but you can die for this country, but you can't buy a gun. You know what I mean? So, like,
or you can die for this country and you can't drink a beer.
Yeah, but we're just programmed differently. We're trained in mentally. We are programmed completely different than the way that normal society is. And so, yeah, you're 100% right. You're 100% right there.
So my thought process on that is, if you know somebody that has been in the military, they may not have PTSD. Don't assume that every military person has PTSD, but if you know somebody that's in the military, call them, check up on them. You never know what you may do for that person just by reaching out and making a phone call.
Yeah,
and just asking how you're doing. And they go, oh, I'm typical answers. How you doing? Oh, I'm fine.
Never been better.
The same old lie. But then you gotta probe.
Living the dream.
Yeah.
Living the dream. Yeah, that's the same old lie. But like I said, you gotta probe a little bit deeper than that. Like, how are you doing? Like, how's your mental health? How's your mental state right now? Things of that nature. Because a lot of veterans don't want to burden other people with their problems.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we feel like we can handle it all within ourselves, and in reality, we all know that you can't. But instead of burdening somebody else, we're like, no, I'm good, I'm fine.
Right. Exactly.
Are you though? Like,
yeah.
Are you?
And some people are stubborn. I know firsthand. So
yeah,
I'm stubborn as hell. So. But no, other than that, man, I got nothing. Just thanks for the support. Thanks for the opportunity to get on here and talk about this.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to everything. Looking forward to the ride. I know that Stalls and I have talked about some other things coming up or events or something like that we're trying to get together, trying to work on. So keep a lookout for the website. Keep a lookout on the website for the upcoming events and things of that nature. We're going to be hopefully putting some additional stuff up once we get it solidified. So if you're in that area or whatever, don't hesitate to join us, because we would love to have you.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, Reaper. Thanks again, man. Damn, you're quick with that trigger finger tonight.
To me?
Yeah.
I'm always quick with the trigger finger.
So I was going to do the outro by myself, but I felt kind of selfish. So
Oh,
I
don't think it was selfish.
No, it wasn't. But no, man, I appreciate you and the guys coming up tonight and talking about your organization. Yes, I am a part of the organization to some extent, but you know,
He's just the marketing guy. Don't let him fool you.
Don't listen to him. I'm just a guy. But I truly believe that sometimes you got to hear it from the horse's mouth. Yeah, I can sit here and tell you all day long about what VB422 is and the people involved in it and, their stances on things and what they're about. But, I wanted to have the three of you up here tonight to talk about it yourselves, right? I think the people deserve to hear from y'all what is happening, and
yeah.
I think it's a great thing that y'all are doing. And like I said, I'm excited to see where this thing goes, how big we can make this, how far we can take it, it's a good thing and I'm here for
all the way. Da-da-da.
Well, shall we?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching or listening to those of you that will be listening via Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I appreciate each and every one of y'all for being here. We can't do this without y'all's support. We got a big special event coming someday. Can't tell you about it. That's all I'm going to say. And like the guy said, if you need help, if you need to talk to somebody, reach out to somebody. Don't be afraid to call somebody in the middle of the night. That might be a little pissed you woke them up, but at the end of the day, if you say, "Hey, we need to talk. I need to talk. I need somebody," I just shut up and listen. Like that's what we're here for. We have each other's backs, and unfortunately, there's nobody else that's going to do it but ourselves, and that's what we're doing. That's what we're trying to do. Don't be afraid to say what you need to say. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't dwindle. Don't minimize it. If you got a fucking problem, talk about it. If I can't answer it or I can't help you solve it, I promise you I know somebody who can. And let's keep fighting, right? And at the end of the day, hey, remember, stay unapologetic and the mission never stops.
Absolutely, guys. And just always remember our podcast is brought to you by Homefront Sit Rep and the Heroes Media Group. You guys can find us on YouTube at Unapologetic Veterans Podcast. Like, share, subscribe, go to Apple Music, go to Spotify, listen, download it, share it, tell your friends, tell your family, and always stay unapologetic.